Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive planning route down in County Clare. Let's jump straight to the numbers.
Right, so 58 homes were just rejected outright in Bunratty. And the breakdown proposed by the developers, Crescent House Limited, is incredibly revealing. You've got 42 3-beds, 12 2-beds, and 4 4-bed houses. We aren't talking about luxury penthouses or sprawling mansions here. We are talking about exactly the kind of normal, everyday housing estates that working Irish families are absolutely crying out for, just trying to get a foot on the ladder.
But see, this isn't just your standard housing dispute. It highlights a massive, fundamental divide right in the heart of the town. On one hand, you have a severe, obvious need for working family homes. But on the exact opposite side, you have the absolute survival of the local tourism economy, which relies entirely on maintaining the historic character and hotel capacity of the village. So, how on earth did a simple plan for a housing estate turn into such a battleground?
Well, believe it or not, this game actually started out with a green light. Clare County Council initially gave the go-ahead for the development on the site of the derelict Shannon Shamrock Hotel. But that approval didn't last long at all. Local residents and the Bunratty Local Development Association were straight out of the traps to lodge an appeal. Ultimately, On-Commission Planala stepped in at the national level and completely rejected the plan, bringing the whole shebang to a grinding halt.
The wording of that final ruling is absolutely fascinating, and Commission Planala stated the development would be unsympathetic to the distinctive historic character of the town, especially considering it sits right next to an iconic, protected national monument. But here is the real twist in the tale. The planning board actually went against the recommendation of their very own planning inspector. Yeah, that inspector had recommended approving the development, arguing it wouldn't detract from Bunratty Castle at all.
So why did the board feel they had to completely overrule their own inspector? It all comes down to a strict, rigid, bureaucratic reality called mixed-use zoning. Under the Clare County Development Plan, this specific plot of land legally has to support the town's tourism function. The board ruled that knocking down a former hotel to throw up mostly residential housing would completely undermine that specific zoning requirement.
And local businesses totally back that assessment. Take this quote from Maureen Wallace, the co-owner of the Bunratty Manor Hotel. In her submission to the council, she warned that approving these houses would be a huge blow to tourism in the region. It highlights a very real, genuine fear. If you permanently lose commercial land right next to a tourist hotspot, you risk killing the golden goose that keeps the entire local economy and local Irish jobs afloat.
To fully grasp why they are so fiercely protective, you kind of have to understand Bunratty's current hotel landscape. Right now, there is only one hotel operating normally. A second one is due to return to public use soon, after accommodating Ukrainians for the past few years. And this disputed site, the old Shannon Shamrock, is actually slated for a future 76-bed hotel in a later phase of development. Fianna Fáil councillor Pat O'Gorman pointed out that locals desperately hope to see a thriving hotel return to this highly strategic spot.
But it wasn't just the hoteliers raising the alarm here. Town resident Mike Fitzpatrick argued the housing would have a suburban nature, causing a negative visual impact on one of Ireland's most iconic heritage sites. Travel journalist Victor O'Sullivan, who actually lives in Bunratty, chimed in too, warning that a high-density development right there would drastically undermine the village's character. For them, cramming in too many houses simply did not fit the bill.
Then there is this incredibly stark, data-driven argument from the Bunratty Local Development Association. 50%. During their appeal, they stated that this single proposed scheme would create 50% more housing than the town actually needs up until the year 2029. From their perspective, that is a massive, totally disproportionate oversupply for one small historic village.
Now, let's step away from the heritage, the castle views, and the tourism arguments for just a second, because beneath all the heavy talk of zoning and historic character, there are harsh, practical realities at play here for any working family who would actually be trying to live in these proposed homes.
The locals rightly pointed out some severe infrastructure deficits. We're talking a massive shortage of local childcare and an utter lack of school places. On top of that, the planning authority themselves flagged that elements of the design offered substandard levels of privacy. You see, simply throwing up 58 houses doesn't magically build a community. If an Irish family gets a set of keys but can't get their child into a school or a local creche because the services simply aren't there, well, the development has totally failed them.
Which brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? If we can't build near historic towns because it ruins the tourism economy, and we can't build in these areas because the infrastructure like schools and childcare simply isn't there, where exactly do Ireland's working families go next? This local dispute in County Clare is a perfect microscopic view of a massive national dilemma. Thanks a million for joining me for this explainer. Hope it gave you some real food for thought, and I'll catch you next time.